Her stepmother sold her for $800 to a homeless man outside Seoul Station. Not in a hidden village, not in a dark alley where nobody could see. Right there near the bus terminal, under the yellow streetlights, while commuters hurried past with umbrellas, coffee cups, and phones pressed to their ears. Her name was Hana Park. She was 22 years old. She had one small suitcase, one worn-out coat, and a folder of school certificates tied with a blue ribbon. Everything else had been taken from her. Her room, her father's house, her savings, her mother's necklace, even her name, sometimes. Because in that house, her stepmother rarely called her Hana. She called her burden. She called her useless girl. She called her unlucky child. And that night, with rain dripping from the edge of the bus station roof, she looked Hana up and down and said, "At least now you are worth something." The homeless man stood a few steps away. Tall, thin, wrapped in a dark coat that looked too old for the cold. His hair fell across his forehead. His beard made him look rougher than he was. A small cardboard sign rested near his worn shoes. Hana did not read the words. She could not. Her eyes were full of tears, and the world had started to blur. Her stepmother, Madame Jang, held out her hand. Money first. The man looked at Hana. Not like a buyer, not like someone pleased. He looked at her like he was trying to understand how a person could stand in front of another human being and speak of her like furniture. Then he reached into his coat and pulled out an envelope. Madame Jang grabbed it quickly and counted the bills with greedy fingers. 1, 2, 3. Hana's heart pounded. "Stepmother," she whispered, "please don't do this." Madame Jang did not look at her. "Don't call me that here. People might think I am responsible for you." The man's jaw tightened. Hana noticed that. A small thing. But pain notices small things. Madame Jang finished counting. $800. Not even enough for one designer handbag in the mall she loved visiting. That was the price of Hana's life in her stepmother's eyes. Madame Jang stuffed the money into her purse and pushed Hana's suitcase toward the man with her foot. "She is your problem now," she said. The man did not touch the suitcase. He looked directly at Hana. "What is your name?" His voice was low, calm, gentler than she expected. Hana wiped her cheek. "Hana? Hana Park?" She froze. "How do you know my last name?" Before he could answer, Madame Jang snapped, "Why does that matter? Take her and go." The man turned slowly to Madame Jang. "And what exactly do you believe you have done here?" Madame Jang laughed. "Don't pretend to have morals. You were sleeping under a bridge yesterday." He said nothing. Her smile became cruel. "I am giving you a young woman to keep your miserable life warm. You should thank me." Hana felt the ground tilt. She wanted to run. But where? Her father was dead. Her home was gone. Her phone had been taken. Her bank account had been emptied. Her stepbrother had changed the locks that morning. And Madame Jang had brought her here with one sentence. "I found you a place to stay." Hana had believed her. Because even after years of cruelty, a small part of her still hoped that the woman who married her father might have one drop of mercy left. She had none. The homeless man stepped closer. Madame Jang rolled her eyes. "Don't look so serious. You got what you paid for." He pulled something from inside his coat. Not money this time. A phone. A sleek black phone, newer than anything a homeless man should have carried. Madame Jang noticed it too. Her eyes narrowed. The man pressed one button and lifted it to his ear. "Bring the car," he said. "And send Mr. Choi to Seoul Station. Now." Madame Jang laughed again, but it sounded less sure. "What car?" He ignored her. Then he looked at Hana. "Do not be afraid. You are safe now." Madame Jang's face twisted. "Safe? With you?" The man's eyes finally hardened. "No," he said. "Safe from you." The first black car arrived in less than 3 minutes. Then another. Then a third. All polished. Silent. Expensive. Men in dark suits stepped out and moved quickly through the rain. People started slowing down. Turning. watching. Madame Zhang's smile disappeared. The homeless man removed his old coat. One of the suited men immediately took it from him and handed him a clean black overcoat. Another man approached with an umbrella and bowed. "Chairman Lee." The words dropped into the cold air. "Chairman Lee." Hana stopped breathing. Madame Zhang went pale. The homeless man looked nothing like a homeless man now. Even with the rough beard and tired eyes, something about him changed the moment the men bowed. His shoulders straightened. His face became unreadable. The streetlight caught the sharp line of his jaw. The man Madame Zhang had sold Hana to was not a beggar. He was Lee Min-jun, Seoul's richest CEO, owner of Hansong Global Group, a man whose company name appeared on buildings, hospitals, hotels, electronics, and news channels across South Korea. A man people begged to meet for 5 minutes. And Madame Zhang had thrown Hana at his feet for $800. "Before I continue, tell me where you are watching from tonight, and if someone has ever treated you like you were worthless, stay with this story." Because Madame Zhang thought she had sold Hana to the lowest man on the street. She had no idea she had just handed her to the only man powerful enough to expose every secret she had buried. Hana did not know whether to cry or faint. The rain felt colder now. The station lights seemed too bright. Every sound was too sharp. The tires on wet road, the murmur of strangers, Madame Zhang breathing fast beside her, the click of expensive shoes as the suited men formed a quiet wall around them. Chairman Lee turned to one of the men. Mr. Choi, a middle-aged man with silver glasses, stepped forward, holding a leather folder. "Yes, Chairman. Record her statement." Madame Zhang snapped awake. "Statement? What statement?" Mr. Choi looked at her without emotion. The statement of a woman who just exchanged money for control over another adult human being in a public place. Madame Zhang laughed nervously. "This is a misunderstanding." Hana stared at her. A misunderstanding. That was the family word for every cruel thing done on purpose. When Madame Zhang locked Hana out of her father's study after his funeral, it was a misunderstanding. When she sold Hana's mother's necklace, it was a misunderstanding. When she told relatives that Hana was unstable and greedy, it was a misunderstanding. Now even this was a misunderstanding. Chairman Lee looked at Hana. "Do you want to speak now or later?" Hana's lips trembled. "I don't know what is happening." His expression softened slightly. "I know. We will move slowly." Madame Zhang stepped forward. "She is confused. I am her guardian." Hana turned to her. "No." The word surprised everyone, even Hana. It came out small, but it stood. Madame Zhang's face hardened. "What did you say?" Hana held the folder of certificates tighter. "You are not my guardian," Madame Zhang hissed. "After everything I fed you, you starved me some nights when father traveled." The suited men went still. Madame Zhang froze. Hana's heart pounded. For years, the truth had lived inside her like a bird trapped under cloth. Now it beat its wings. "You took my wages from the bakery. You sold my mother's necklace. You told father I was wasting money when I was paying his hospital bills. You locked me out this morning." Madame Zhang whispered, "Shut your mouth." Chairman Lee's voice cut in. "Do not speak to her like that." Madame Zhang looked at him with fear now. Real fear. "Chairman Lee, please. I did not know it was you." The sentence exposed her. She was not sorry for what she did. She was sorry he was not poor. Lee Min-jun noticed too. His eyes turned colder. "You did not know it was me," he repeated. "So if I had truly been homeless, this would have been acceptable?" Madame Zhang opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Mr. Choi wrote something down. Hana stared at Chairman Lee. "Why were you dressed like that?" He looked toward the station entrance, where a group of tired older men sat under the roof, holding paper cups and plastic bags. "My company is opening a shelter and job rehabilitation center. I wanted to see what people experience when they are invisible." His voice stayed calm. "But I did not expect to watch a woman try to sell her stepdaughter." Hana lowered her eyes. Shame burned through her, even though she had done nothing wrong. That is the strange thing about humiliation. It often sits on the person harmed, not the person harming. Chairman Lee saw her face. "Look at me, Hana." She slowly lifted her eyes. "You have nothing to be ashamed of." The words almost broke her, because nobody had said that to her in years. Madame Zhang suddenly grabbed Hana's wrist. "We are leaving." Hana gasped. One of the suited men stepped forward, but Chairman Lee raised a hand. "Let her go." Madame Zhang did not. Her nails dug into Hana's skin. "I said we are leaving." Hana looked at the hand around her wrist, the same hand that had taken her father's house keys, the same hand that had slapped papers on the table and said Hana inherited nothing, the same hand that had pushed her suitcase toward a stranger. Something quiet rose inside Hana. Not courage like in movies, not loud, just a tired soul finally refusing to kneel. She pulled her wrist free. "No!" Madame Zhang stared at her. Hana stepped back toward Chairman Lee's side. "I am not going with you." Madame Zhang's lips trembled with rage. "You ungrateful girl," Hana said. "I am grateful to the people who loved me. You were never one of them." Mr. Choi looked at Chairman Lee. "Sir, the car is ready." Lee Min-jun nodded. Then he spoke to Hana. "We can take you somewhere safe tonight. A women's residence connected to our foundation. You will not owe me anything. You will not be touched. You will not be forced. In the morning, you can speak to legal counsel." Hana looked at him carefully. She had learned not to trust kindness too quickly. "What do you want from me?" He did not seem offended. "Nothing. Nobody wants nothing." His mouth tightened, almost like sadness. "Then let me say it more clearly. I want to make sure what happened here does not happen to you again." A black car waited nearby, door open. Warm light spilled from inside. Madame Zhang whispered, "Hana, if you get in that car, do not come back." Hana looked at her suitcase, then at the station, then at the envelope of money sticking out of Madame Zhang's purse. $800, the price she had been given. She turned back to Madame Zhang. "I already have nowhere to come back to." Then she got into Chairman Lee's car. The door closed softly. And for the first time that night, Hana allowed herself to breathe. The car smelled like leather and rain. Hana sat near the window, clutching her folder so tightly the edges bent. Chairman Lee did not sit beside her. He sat in the front passenger seat, leaving space between them. That small decision mattered. A cruel man would have used closeness as power. He used distance as respect. Mr. Choi drove another car behind them. The city moved past in wet lights. Seoul looked beautiful from behind glass. Tall buildings, bright signs, crowded streets, people rushing into restaurants, couples under umbrellas, buses breathing steam. A city with millions of lives, none of them knowing Hana's had just split in two. Chairman Lee spoke without turning around. "Do you need a hospital?" "No." "Food?" Her stomach tightened. She had not eaten since morning, but asking felt dangerous. "I'm fine." He looked at her through the mirror. Fine is often a word people use when they are not safe enough to need anything. Hana swallowed. "I am hungry." He nodded once. "Then we will get food first." No pity, no speech, just action. The car stopped at a quiet restaurant inside a luxury hotel. Hana hesitated when she saw the entrance. "I can't go in there." Chairman Lee turned. "Why?" She looked down at her old shoes. "People will stare. They already do. Let them learn manners." He stepped out first. A staff member rushed forward, then stopped when he recognized him. "Chairman Lee." "Private room. Simple meal. No announcement." "Yes, sir." Hana followed, holding her suitcase handle. The lobby was warm and golden. Her reflection appeared in the polished floor. Wet coat, red eyes, cheap suitcase, a girl thrown away. But beside her walked the richest man in Seoul, and not once did he act ashamed to be seen with her. In the private room, food arrived quickly. Rice, soup, grilled fish, steamed vegetables, tea. Hana stared at it, afraid to eat too fast. Chairman Lee noticed and left the room with an excuse about a phone call. She understood. He was giving her privacy to be hungry. That kindness hurt more than open cruelty. She ate, slowly at first, then with tears sliding down her face, because warm food can feel like mercy when you have been treated like a burden. When Chairman Lee returned, he carried a small sealed envelope. Mr. Choi has arranged the residence. Hana wiped her face quickly. I'm sorry. For eating? For crying. Do not apologize for either. He sat across from her. Not too close. Mr. Choi also began checking public records. Your father was Park Dong-soo? Hana nodded. He owned a small textile import company. Yes, Park Fine Textiles. And the house in Seongbuk-dong? Her throat tightened. Yes. Madam Jang claimed you inherited nothing? Hana looked up sharply. How do you know? She said enough at the station to make me curious. Mr. Choi works quickly. Hana's hands trembled. She said father changed the will after he got sick. She said everything went to her and my stepbrother because I had shamed the family by working in a bakery instead of staying home. Chairman Lee's eyes narrowed. Did you see the will? No. Did you sign anything? Hana hesitated. Yes. He leaned forward slightly. What? After father died, she brought papers. She said they were funeral documents. She cried and said if I delayed, father's body would suffer. I signed where she pointed. Chairman Lee's face became very still. What year was this? 3 years ago. Were you given a copy? No. Were you over 18? Yes. He nodded, but his jaw tightened. Hana, I am not your lawyer, but tomorrow you must speak to one. Do not sign anything else. Do not take calls from Madam Jang alone. Do not go anywhere with her. Do not return to that house without counsel. Hana looked at him. Why are you helping me? He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, because years ago, someone did not help my mother when they should have. That was all. He did not explain further. But Hana heard the weight behind it. The residence was not what Hana expected. She imagined a crowded shelter, cold beds, harsh lights. Instead, the car stopped outside a clean, quiet building run by the Hansong Hope Foundation. A woman in her 50s greeted them at the entrance. Miss Park? I am Director Seo. Her voice was warm but professional, not overly sweet. Hana liked her immediately. Director Seo showed her a small room, single bed, desk, lamp, clean towel, lock on the door, a window overlooking a narrow garden. Rest tonight, Director Seo said. Tomorrow we will discuss what you need. You are free to leave at any time. No one here will force you. Hana nodded. When she turned, Chairman Lee was still standing outside the door, not entering. He handed her a business card. This number reaches Mr. Choi directly. If you feel unsafe, call. Hana took it. Thank you. He looked like he wanted to say something more, but chose not to. Rest, Hana. Then he left. The door closed. Hana stood in the room alone. A room nobody could enter without permission. A bed nobody could take. A lock that worked. She placed her folder on the desk. Opened her suitcase. And finally, after years of holding herself together because falling apart was never safe, Hana sat on the floor and cried until her body had no more strength. The next morning began the second part of her life. Director Seo brought breakfast and clean clothes from the foundation closet. Nothing fancy. A soft sweater, jeans, a warm coat. Hana showered for a long time, watching the water carry away station dirt and old fear. At 10, Mr. Choi arrived with a female lawyer named Attorney Kim Eun-ha. Attorney Kim wore a navy suit and carried 3 folders. She did not smile too much. Hana appreciated that. People who smiled too much sometimes wanted trust before earning it. Attorney Kim sat across from Hana in a small office. Miss Park, Chairman Lee has asked our firm to provide initial legal support through the foundation. You are not required to accept. You may choose another lawyer. Nothing will be charged to you. Hana looked at Director So, who nodded. Hana said, "I accept." Attorney Kim opened the first folder. "We checked available records. Your father's company was sold 18 months after his death. The house was transferred to Madam Jang. Several bank accounts were closed. There is also a document stating that you voluntarily declined inheritance claims in exchange for family care." Hana felt sick. Family care? Attorney Kim's mouth tightened. "Yes." "She threw me out." "We will document that," Hana whispered. "I signed funeral papers." Attorney Kim said, "You may have signed more than that. We need to obtain the originals." Hana closed her eyes. Madam Jang had not only stolen money, she had stolen trust. She had used grief like a blindfold and placed a pen in Hana's hand. Attorney Kim continued gently, "Miss Park, there is another issue." Hana opened her eyes. "What? Your father's company sale appears unusual." "How?" "It was sold below market value to a shell company. That shell company later became part of a supplier network connected to Hansong Global." Hana stared. "Hansong? Chairman Lee's company?" "Yes, not directly by him, but through a subsidiary chain." Hana's heart began pounding. "What does that mean?" Attorney Kim glanced at Mr. Choi. Mr. Choi said quietly, "It means Chairman Lee may have unknowingly purchased assets connected to your father's company after they were stripped from you." The room tilted again. Hana gripped the chair. "Did he know?" "No," Mr. Choi said immediately. "That is why he ordered a full internal review this morning." At that exact moment, Chairman Lee Min-jun was in the tallest glass tower in Gangnam, wearing a perfect black suit, facing 12 executives who had not seen him this angry in years. On the table lay copies of the Park Fine Textiles acquisition chain, a shell company, a supplier merger, a board approval from a division president, and one name that appeared twice. Jang Min-sik, Madam Jang's son, Hana's stepbrother. Chairman Lee looked at the documents, then at his executives. "Explain how stolen family assets entered my company." Nobody spoke. The silence was expensive. Finally, a division president cleared his throat. "Chairman, with respect, the acquisition came through normal channels." Lee Min-jun lifted one document. "Normal channels do not hide ownership through 3 shell firms connected to the seller's family." The president went pale. "We were not aware." "Then you were careless," another executive said. "Sir, this is a small supplier matter." Chairman Lee turned slowly. "A woman was sold at a train station for $800 after her inheritance was stolen through documents that may connect to our supply chain. Do not call that small in my building again." The executive lowered his head. "Yes, Chairman." Lee Min-jun gave orders. "Full internal audit. Freeze all contracts tied to Jang Min-sik. Preserve records. Notify compliance. Prepare cooperation with legal authorities if needed. No document destroyed. No executive meetings without minutes. No quiet settlement." The room emptied quickly. Mr. Choi returned later and reported everything to Hana's lawyer. Hana listened, numb. Her stepmother had not only stolen her home, her stepbrother may have profited through the sale of her father's company, and somehow, the richest CEO in Seoul had become connected to the secret without knowing. Attorney Kim said, "This may become larger than a family dispute." Hana looked at her hands. "I don't want a scandal." Attorney Kim's voice softened. "People who harm quiet women often depend on that sentence." Hana looked up. The words entered her like sunlight. People who harm quiet women depend on silence. That afternoon, Madam Jang called. Director Seo answered the resident's phone and refused to connect her. Then Madam Jang called Attorney Kim. Attorney Kim placed the call on speaker with Hana's permission. Madam Jang's voice came sharp and high. "Where is Hana?" Attorney Kim replied, "Miss Park is safe. She belongs with family." Hana flinched. Attorney Kim's eyes sharpened. "Miss Park is an adult. She belongs to herself." Silence. Then Madam Jang said, "Who are you?" "Her attorney." A small breath. Fear. Then anger. "That girl has no money for an attorney." Attorney Kim smiled faintly. She has representation. Madam Jang snapped. She is unstable. She lies. She ran away with a strange man. Attorney Kim replied. A public incident at Seoul Station was witnessed by multiple people and recorded by nearby cameras. I advise you to be careful with accusations. Madam Jang went quiet. Attorney Kim continued. We will be requesting all documents related to Park Dong-soo's estate, the house transfer, any inheritance waivers, and the sale of Park Fine Textiles. Madam Jang's voice dropped. You have no right. Then prove that with documents. The call ended. Hana's hands were shaking. Attorney Kim looked at her. She is afraid. Hana whispered. Good. The word surprised her. Attorney Kim did not judge. Fear is not justice, but sometimes it tells us we are near the truth. Over the next days, Hana learned what had really happened after her father died. Park Dong-soo had not been rich like Chairman Lee, but he had built something solid. A house. A small company. Savings. Insurance. A quiet investment account. Enough to protect his daughter. Enough to make Madam Jang greedy. When he became ill, Madam Jang began isolating him. She controlled visitors, controlled calls, told Hana he needed rest when he asked for her, told him Hana was busy or ungrateful when she was waiting outside the hospital room. After he died, Madam Jang moved quickly. Papers, funeral pressure, emotional speeches. Your father wanted peace. Sign here. Do not shame the family. You don't understand legal things. Hana had signed through tears. That signature became a cage. But Attorney Kim found problems. Dates that did not match. Witnesses connected to Madam Jang. Notary irregularities. Missing pages. A medical note showing Hana's father had requested a private meeting with a lawyer 2 weeks before his death, but no record that it happened. Then came the biggest secret. A hidden safe deposit box. The bank contacted Attorney Kim after she filed estate inquiries. The box was in Park Dong-soo's name, with Hana listed as secondary access after his death. Madam Jang had never found it. Hana went to the bank with Attorney Kim, Mr. Choi, and Director Seo. Her hands shook as the bank officer placed the metal box in front of her. Inside was a letter, a small velvet pouch, a flash drive, and a photo of Hana as a child sitting on her father's lap in front of his textile shop. Hana opened the letter first. My dear Hana, if this box has reached you, then something went wrong. I am sorry. A father should not have to write secret letters to protect his child from the woman inside his own house, but I have seen enough to be afraid. Hana began to cry. Attorney Kim placed tissues near her but did not interrupt. Hana continued reading. Your mother's necklace is in the pouch. I took it back from Jang when I realized she planned to sell it. Do not let anyone tell you it was lost. Hana opened the pouch. Inside lay her mother's necklace, a small gold moon pendant, the one Madam Jang said had been sold to pay medical bills. Hana pressed it to her mouth. Her father had saved it. The letter continued. There is also a recording on the drive. It explains my wishes clearly. I wanted the house and protected funds to go to you. I wanted the company sold only if you chose. I wanted Jang cared for fairly, but not given control. I no longer trust her with papers. If she tells you I changed my mind, she is lying. You are not a burden, Hana. You were the best part of my life. Live free. Father. Hana bent over the letter and sobbed. For years, Madam Jang had told her she was unwanted, that her father died disappointed, that he had left everything away from her because she was not worth trusting. Now his handwriting sat in front of her, reaching through the grave to pull her out of a lie. Attorney Kim's voice was quiet. This changes everything. The flash drive changed even more. The video showed Park Dong-soo in a hospital room, thinner than Hana remembered, but clear-eyed. He spoke directly into the camera. My daughter, Hana Park, is my only child. My assets are to protect her. If documents appear giving full control to Jang or her son, investigate. I have been pressured. I fear Hana will be pressured too. He coughed, then continued. Hana, if you see this, forgive me for not protecting you better while alive. But know this, you were never unwanted. You were never ugly. You were never useless. You are my heart. Hana, watched the video 3 times. Each time, something inside her stood a little taller. When Chairman Lee heard about the video, he requested a meeting with Hana. Not at his office, not at the residence. At a quiet garden cafe connected to the foundation. Public enough to feel safe. Private enough to talk. Hana arrived wearing the foundation sweater and her mother's necklace. Chairman Lee noticed the necklace but did not comment. He looked different now. Clean-shaven. Hair neat. Dark suit. Power contained under silence. But Hana still remembered the man at the station. The old coat. The cardboard sign. The way he had said, "You are safe now." He stood when she arrived. Miss Park. Hana is fine. He nodded. Hana. They sat. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Chairman Lee said, My company benefited from assets that may have been taken from you. Hana looked down. I know you didn't know. That does not remove responsibility. She looked up. He meant it. Not as a speech. As a principle. He continued. I have ordered a full review. Any contracts connected to fraud will be frozen. If Park Fine Textiles was acquired improperly, we will support restoration or compensation through legal channels. I will not hide behind subsidiary layers. Hana studied him. Why were you really at Seoul Station? He paused. I told you part of the truth. What is the rest? His eyes moved toward the garden window. My mother died near that station. Hana's breath caught. She lost everything after my father's relatives pushed her out of the family business. She tried to fight, but she had no money, no lawyer, and no one believed her. For a while, we lived in shelters. Then one winter, she became sick. He stopped. Hana did not ask for painful details. He continued quietly. I built Hansong with anger first, later with discipline, but I still go back sometimes, dressed differently, listening, watching, reminding myself what it means to become invisible. Hana whispered, I'm sorry. He looked at her. So am I. That was the first moment she saw him, not as Seoul's richest CEO, but as a son who had failed to save his mother and had spent his life building enough power to never feel that helpless again. Maybe that was why he helped her. Not romance. Not pity. Recognition. Wound recognizing wound. Weeks passed. Madame Jang grew desperate. She tried to claim Hana was mentally unstable. Attorney Kim produced medical records showing no such thing. She claimed Hana had voluntarily left home. CCTV from Seoul Station showed the exchange of money and the suitcase. She claimed the $800 was a travel gift. A witness from a snack stall gave a statement saying Madame Jang had said, she is your problem now. She claimed Hana had signed away inheritance knowingly. The hidden video challenged that. She claimed Park Fine Textiles had been sold legally. The shell company records began collapsing. Then Jang Min-sik, Hana's stepbrother, made the mistake that ruined them. He called Chairman Lee's office and tried to threaten an executive. I know what Hansong bought, he said. If Chairman Lee wants this quiet, he can pay. The call was recorded. Chairman Lee did not pay. He sent it to legal. Within a month, investigators opened formal inquiries into estate fraud, document manipulation, corporate shell transactions, and attempted extortion. Madame Jang stopped wearing designer sunglasses to court once reporters arrived. She covered her face with a scarf. Hana did not enjoy seeing her fall. Not exactly. Revenge in real life is not always sweet. Sometimes it tastes like old smoke. But justice? Justice felt different. Justice felt like standing in a room with Attorney Kim beside her, her father's letter in evidence, and no one telling her to be quiet. During one hearing, Madame Jang looked at Hana and cried. Hana, I raised you. Hana looked at her calmly. No, you survived near me while trying to erase me. The room went silent. Madame Zhang sobbed, but for once, tears did not control the room. The judge ordered temporary protection of disputed assets. The house transfer was challenged. The company sale was frozen pending deeper review. The bank accounts were traced. Hana was granted access to part of her father's protected funds for living, education, and legal support. $800 had been Madame Zhang's price for her. Her father had left her far more than money. He left truth. Hana returned to the Songbuk-dong house only once during the investigation. Attorney Kim and Mr. Choi went with her. The house looked smaller than her memories. Or maybe fear had made it large. Her old room had become a storage room. Boxes, old furniture, dust. Madame Zhang had thrown many things away, but in the back of the closet, Hana found one item, a sketchbook. Her own. From when she was 15 and dreamed of designing textiles like her father. She opened it and saw drawings of patterns, flowers, moons, waves, small notes about fabric textures. She had forgotten that girl. The one who wanted to create beautiful things before survival became her only job. She took the sketchbook. That night, at the residence, she opened a blank page and drew for the first time in years. A moon over a train station, a girl with a suitcase, a man holding an umbrella but standing far enough away to give her space. Director Seo saw the drawing and said, "You should study design." Hana laughed softly. "I'm too old." Director Seo looked offended. "You are 22, not a historical artifact." Hana smiled. The next week, Chairman Lee offered something through the foundation. Not a gift from him personally. A scholarship program for survivors of family financial abuse who wanted to rebuild careers. Attorney Kim made sure it had no strings. Hana applied. Properly. With a portfolio. With essays. With interviews. With her own name. She won. Not because Chairman Lee pitied her, because she was talented. Her textile designs carried emotion. Old Korean patterns mixed with modern lines. Soft colors with hidden strength. Fabric that looked delicate until touched, then proved strong. Just like her. She entered a design program in Seoul. At first, students whispered. Some knew the news. Some recognized her as the girl from the inheritance case. One girl asked rudely, "Is it true your stepmother sold you to Chairman Lee?" Hana looked at her. "No. She tried to sell me to someone she thought had no power. That is different." The girl had no reply. Hana studied hard, worked quietly, visited the foundation on weekends, met other women rebuilding from family betrayal. Some had been cheated out of wages, some pushed out of homes, some pressured to sign papers, some told they were worthless until they believed it. Hana learned that cruelty changes countries, clothes, and languages, but its tricks are often the same. Make her small. Make her doubt herself. Take the papers. Control the money. Call it family. Call it sacrifice. Call it love. Then blame her when she escapes. 2 years later, Hana launched her first textile collection. She named it Moon Over Rain. The opening event was small. A gallery space with white walls, soft lighting, and fabric panels hanging like quiet songs. Director Seo came. Attorney Kim came. Mr. Choi came. Chairman Lee came last, without cameras. He stood before one large fabric piece, dark blue with silver thread woven like rain. Hana approached. "That one is called Seoul Station." He looked at it for a long moment. "It is beautiful. I used to hate that memory." "And now?" She thought about it. "Now I think it was the night the lie ended." He nodded. "Good." Reporters eventually discovered the collection. People loved the story. The girl sold for $800 who became a designer. The richest CEO who turned out to be the homeless man. The evil stepmother exposed. The hidden father's letter. The stolen company. The court case. But Hana refused to let the media turn her into a fairy tale. When asked if Chairman Lee saved her, she answered carefully. He opened a door that night, but I walked through it, and many people helped me keep walking. Chairman Lee respected that. He never tried to own her story. That made her trust him more. Over time, they became friends. Real friends. Not dramatic. Not rushed. He visited the foundation. She designed fabric for the shelter rooms. He asked for her opinion on the rehabilitation center because she knew what dignity felt like from the side of someone receiving help. She told him the rooms needed mirrors. He frowned. Mirrors? Yes, but not harsh ones. Warm light. People who have been treated like dirt need to see themselves in places that are clean. He listened. The shelter added mirrors. Women cried when they entered. Hana understood. 3 years after Seoul Station, the court finally issued major rulings. Documents signed under deception were challenged successfully. Portions of the house ownership were restored to Hana. Money from hidden accounts was traced. Jang Min-sik's shell company network collapsed. Hansong Global returned profits tied to Park Fine Textiles into a restoration fund and publicly admitted the acquisition process had failed ethical review. Chairman Lee stood at the press conference and said, "A company cannot claim excellence while benefiting from hidden harm. We will correct this." His executives hated the sentence. The public respected it. Hana watched from a quiet room, not in front of cameras. She cried when she saw her father's company name cleared. Park Fine Textiles did not return exactly as it was. Too much had changed. But Hana used part of the restored assets to create the Park Dong-soo Textile Scholarship for young designers from broken or exploited families. The first scholarship winner was a 19-year-old girl who had been told by her relatives that art was useless. Hana handed her the certificate and said, "People who call your gift useless usually want your hands for their own work." The girl cried. Hana cried too. Madame Jang's final downfall came quietly. Not in a dramatic chase. Not with screaming. She lost the house. Lost the money. Lost social standing. Lost the rich friends who had enjoyed her parties. Jang Min-sik faced charges connected to fraud and extortion. Madame Jang sent one letter to Hana before sentencing. "I was wrong. Forgive me." That was all. No details. No ownership. No true apology. Hana placed the letter in a drawer. She did not reply. Forgiveness without truth can become another room where harm hides. Years later, Hana stood once again outside Seoul Station, not as a girl with a suitcase, not as a girl being handed away, as the founder of Moon Over Rain Textiles and co-director of a foundation program for women leaving financial and family abuse. Beside her stood Director Seo, Attorney Kim, and Chairman Lee. The old area under the station roof had changed. Hansong Hope Foundation had opened a legal support kiosk nearby, connecting people to shelter, food, job programs, and emergency counsel. On the opening day, Hana carried a small blue ribbon tied around her wrist, the same color as the ribbon that once held her school certificates together. Chairman Lee noticed. "Important?" "Yes," she said. "It reminds me that I arrived with almost nothing, but not nothing." He nodded. "What did you have?" Hana looked toward the station lights. "My name. My father's love, even before I found the letter. And the part of me that still knew Madame Jang was lying." He smiled faintly. "That is not little." "No," she said. "It is not." A woman approached the kiosk that evening. Young. Afraid. Holding a plastic bag and a folder. Hana saw herself immediately. "Not exactly, but enough." The woman whispered, "I don't know where to go." Hana stepped forward. "What is your name?" The woman hesitated. "Mireille." Hana smiled gently. "Mireille, you are safe here. We will move slowly." Those were the words Chairman Lee had given her. Now she gave them to someone else. That is how rescue becomes legacy. Not when one powerful person saves everyone, but when the saved become doors. At the Foundation's first anniversary gala, People expected Hana to tell the story in a polished way. She did not. She stood at the podium in a dark blue dress she designed herself. Silver thread shimmered at the sleeves like rain. Her father's moon necklace rested at her throat. Chairman Lee sat in the front row. Director Seo beside him. Attorney Kim near the aisle. Mr. Choi standing in the back, serious as always. Hana looked at the crowd. "My stepmother sold me for $800, she said. The room went silent. She thought that was my value because she believed value belonged to those who had houses, bank accounts, family power, and legal control. She thought a homeless man was the lowest person she could give me to. She was wrong about him. But more importantly, she was wrong about me." People listened without moving. Hana continued, "I am not grateful for what she did. Pain does not become good because something good later grows near it. But I am grateful that the truth survived her. My father's letter survived. The camera footage survived. The bank records survived. My own voice survived." She looked at the women from the foundation seated together. If someone has priced you, used you, hidden documents from you, taken your wages, called you a burden, or told you that you should be thankful for scraps, hear me. Their price is not your value. Their cruelty is not your name. Their power is not forever. The applause began softly, then rose. Hana's hands trembled, but she did not step back. She finished with one sentence. $800 was the price they named. Freedom was the value I claimed. The room stood. Even Chairman Lee clapped slowly, eyes lowered, as if honoring not only Hana but someone from his own past. After the gala, he found her near the balcony. "You spoke well," he said. "I was shaking. Courage often shakes." She smiled. "Did your mother shake?" He looked at the city lights. Sometimes, but she stood anyway. Hana stood beside him. For a while, neither spoke. Then she said, "I think she would be proud of you." His jaw tightened slightly. "I hope so." She would. He looked at her then, and for a moment, the richest CEO in Seoul looked like the young boy he used to be, the one who had lost his mother near a station and built a tower out of grief. "Thank you," he said. Hana nodded. Years moved forward. Moon Over Rain became a respected brand, not only because of Hana's story, because her work was excellent. Her fabrics appeared in hotels, homes, galleries, and eventually hospitals designed to feel less cold. She hired women from the foundation program and trained them in textile production, administration, design support, and quality control. Some stayed. Some moved on. All were paid properly. No one worked like family without wages. Hana hated that phrase now. Like family. Too many people used it to mean free. At Moon Over Rain, family meant safe. And safe meant contracts, salaries, locks, respect, and the right to say no. The Sungbukdong house became a training center. Hana did not live there. Too many memories. But she did not sell it either. She renamed it Park House, a place where young women could learn design, budgeting, legal basics, and life skills. In the room that had once been hers, she placed a long table with sewing machines. On the wall, she framed her father's words. "You were the best part of my life." Women stopped and read it. Some cried. Hana understood. A sentence from someone who loved you can rebuild rooms inside you that cruelty destroyed. Chairman Lee remained in her life. Respectfully. Quietly. There were rumors, of course. People love turning kindness into romance before the people involved have even finished healing. Hana ignored them. Min Jun ignored them better. When reporters asked him about her, he said, "Miss Park built her own life." Hansong corrected its responsibility. Do not confuse justice with ownership. Hana appreciated that. Over time, affection grew between them, not from rescue, but from trust. They had tea, walked through gallery openings, argued about foundation budgets, sat sometimes at Seoul Station watching people move through the city. Years later, When Hana was ready, truly ready, he asked if he could court her properly. She laughed at the old-fashioned word. Court? He looked serious. Yes, slowly, with your permission, without assumptions. Hana studied him, the man in the old coat, the CEO in the glass tower, the son who remembered his mother, the person who had never once treated her gratitude like a debt. Yes, she said softly, slowly. And slowly was exactly how it happened. No fairy tale rush. No sudden palace. No rescue marriage. Just two people who knew what it meant to lose safety and chose not to become unsafe for each other. When they eventually married, years after the station night, the wedding was small. Director Seo cried. Attorney Kim reviewed the marriage documents before signing because everyone insisted. Mr. Choi carried tissues and pretended not to. Grace did not exist in this story. But if she had, she would have said something sharp about prenups and flowers. Hana wore a dress made from her own fabric. Dark blue, silver rain, a moon pendant at her throat. No one gave her away. She walked alone first, then met Min-jun halfway. That was her choice. Her father's photo sat in the front row. So did a small framed picture of Min-jun's mother. Two parents who had suffered, remembered without being turned into sadness only. During the vows, Min-jun said, I will never call rescue love. I will never call access ownership. I will stand beside the woman you became by your own strength. Hana cried. Then said, I will never mistake your power for my safety unless your actions prove it daily. I choose you freely, from a life that is already mine. That mattered most. Freely. Her stepmother had tried to sell her. Her husband did not buy her. He was chosen. There is a difference big enough to build a life on. Years after that, a young journalist asked Hana if she ever thought about the $800. Hana smiled. Yes. Does it still hurt? Sometimes. What do you feel now? Hana looked around Park House, at the women sewing, the students laughing, the legal posters near the entrance. The wall of fabric samples, the framed letter, the moonlight pattern on the newest collection. I feel proof, she said. Proof of what? That someone can price you wrongly and still fail to reduce your value. The journalist wrote that down. But Hana hoped she truly heard it, because that was the heart of everything. Madame Jang thought $800 ended Hana's story. It began the part where lies lost power. She thought handing Hana to a homeless man would bury her. Instead, she handed her to a witness, not just Lee Min-jun, a witness in herself, a part of Hana that finally saw the full ugliness and said no more. If you are listening and someone has treated you like a burden, remember Hana. If they took your money, your papers, your home, your confidence, your family name, remember Hana. If they called you useless because they wanted you obedient, remember Hana. If they made you sign while crying, remember Hana. If they told you nobody would believe you, remember Hana. Find the hidden box. Find the letter. Find the camera footage. Find the lawyer. Find the shelter. Find the one clean room where you can lock the door and think. Do not confuse being thrown away with being worthless. Sometimes being thrown away is the moment you finally leave the hands that kept squeezing your future smaller. Madame Jang sold Hana for $800 to a man she thought was homeless. She did not know he was Seoul's richest CEO. But the deeper secret was not his money. It was not the cars, not the suits, not the tower in Gangnam. The deeper secret was that Hana had never been what Madame Jang called her. Not burden, not useless, not unlucky, not unwanted. She was her father's heart, her own woman, a designer, a builder, a survivor, a door for others. And no amount of money, not $800 or $8 billion, could buy or erase that truth.